I never imagined my life would be decided in a single afternoon. My parents sat across from me at the dining table, faces glowing with excitement. While I tried to ignore the pit forming in my stomach, "Son, we have something very important to discuss," my father said, clearing his throat. "We found the perfect girl for you." I froze mid-bite. "Oh, okay," I muttered, forcing a smile. I had always been the obedient one, following rules without question, but my heart felt heavy. "Her name is Ava," my mother added, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "She comes from a respected family. Beautiful, educated, polite. Everything we could hope for." I nodded slowly, my mind spinning. "She sounds nice," I said carefully, though a part of me shrank at the thought of marrying someone I barely knew. "She's perfect for you." "Son," my father insisted, "we've spoken to her parents. They're excited too." I forced a chuckle. "Of course. I mean, if you both think it's right," my voice faltered. I didn't want to argue, not with them. They believed in tradition, in duty over feelings. I had learned long ago that resistance only led to frustration and disappointment. "Good," my mother said, smiling. "We want the wedding to be soon. You'll meet her this weekend." I nodded again, swallowing hard. All right. Inside I felt a storm brewing. How could I meet someone and suddenly imagine spending my life with them? The weekend came faster than I expected. My parents insisted on a formal gathering at our house. I entered the living room, trying to keep my face neutral, when Ava walked in. She was polite, graceful, and smiled at everyone. My parents beamed as they introduced her. "Ava, this is my son," my mother said. "He's looking forward to meeting you." "Nice to meet you," I said, extending my hand, which she shook lightly. "The pleasure is mine," she replied, her voice soft and careful. I noticed her eyes flick briefly toward someone outside the room. Then she looked back at me, smiling. Something about that flicker made me uneasy, but I pushed it aside. We sat together, exchanging small talk. "Do you enjoy reading?" I asked, trying to find common ground. "Oh yes. I love novels, especially stories with strong characters," she said. "And you?" I do too," I admitted. "Mostly thrillers, I guess." Her laugh was light, pleasant. "That's wonderful. I love a man who enjoys a good story." She tilted her head, smiling. I felt the warmth of her charm, but there was a stiffness in her manner that made me cautious. "Do you have siblings?" I asked. "A younger brother. He's in college," she said. "And you?" "I have an older sister," I replied. Conversation flowed, polite and safe. My parents watched eagerly, nodding at every laugh she offered. After a while, I excused myself to get some water, stepping into the kitchen. I leaned against the counter, trying to make sense of my thoughts. She seemed perfect. Too perfect, maybe, but who was I to question my parents? They had done this before, knew better than I ever could. Returning to the living room, I forced a smile. "It's been nice talking to you, Ava." "You too," she replied, with that same polite, careful smile. Something deep inside me whispered caution, but I ignored it. As the evening ended and guests left, I realized my life was about to change. The thought was thrilling and terrifying at the same time. I wanted to trust my parents to believe in their choice, but a small nagging doubt lingered. I pushed it down. I would give this marriage a chance. I had to. After all, what choice did I really have? I thought about Ava all morning, even though I hadn't seen her since the gathering. My parents were talking about the wedding again. But my mind kept drifting back to the image I couldn't erase. I was walking through the cafe near my office when I saw her. At first, I thought it was my imagination, her hair, her smile, but then I froze. She was holding someone else's hand, his fingers entwined with hers. Laughing at something he said, I whispered to myself, "No, that can't be her." But it was. There was no mistaking the way she leaned toward him, her laughter warm and easy, completely different from the polite smile she showed my parents and me. My chest tightened and my stomach churned. I wanted to storm over, demand an explanation, but my mind froze. Who was he? How long had this been going on? I stepped closer, pretending to browse the pastries. I wanted to catch every detail without being noticed. She was completely absorbed in him, brushing her hair behind her ear as he talked. I could see the affection in her eyes, and it hit me like a punch. "Can I help you?" a barista asked, interrupting my thoughts. "No, thanks," I mumbled, my voice shaky. I barely registered what I was saying. I watched for a few more minutes, then turned to leave. My hands were trembling. I couldn't confront her here. I couldn't tell my parents yet. If I did, they would insist I canceled the engagement, cause a scene. But what if I didn't? What if I married her and this continued in secret? Back home, my parents were already asking questions. "Did you enjoy meeting Ava this weekend?" my mother asked, smiling. "Yes, she's very polite," I said cautiously. "And you're not saying much," my father added. "Do you feel ready for the wedding?" I swallowed hard. I think so. I mean, if you both think it's right." I avoided their eyes. "You need to confirm, son," my mother said, her voice gentle but firm. "The arrangements have to move forward." "I know," I said, my mind racing. Every image from the cafe replayed in my head. Her smile at him, the way she held his hand. My chest ached with betrayal. I sat in my room later, staring at the ceiling, trying to make sense of everything. "What do I do?" I whispered aloud. "Do I tell them? Do I confront her?" My phone buzzed. A message from Liam popped up. "You okay?" "You've been quiet all morning," I typed back quickly, trying to sound casual. "Yeah, just busy with work." I couldn't tell him. He didn't need to know about the mess my life was turning into. I paced the room. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her with him. Every laugh, every touch, it was like a dagger twisting deeper each time. I felt trapped. I wanted to scream to make her stop, but there was nothing I could do. Not yet. Later, my parents called me down for dinner. "Son, you haven't even said anything about the date," my father said, pushing the topic again. I think maybe next month," I said, keeping my voice steady even though my heart was hammering. "That's settled then," my mother said, smiling. "It's for the best. You'll see everything will fall into place." I nodded silently. But inside I was shaking. Everything felt upside down. I couldn't tell them about the cafe. I couldn't confront Ava without proof. And yet, I couldn't ignore what I saw. I glanced at my reflection in the hallway mirror. My eyes looked tired, worried, almost haunted. I wanted to trust her, to believe in the version of her my parents saw. But the memory of her hand in his lingered, refusing to fade. I whispered to myself again, how did it come to this? How am I supposed to marry someone I don't even know? And just like that, the weight of the secret pressed down harder than ever. The wedding plans were moving forward, but I was stuck in a storm of doubt, betrayal, and fear, and I had no idea how I would survive it. I couldn't stop thinking about what I saw in the cafe. That image of Ava holding another man's hand haunted me, and I knew I had to confront her. At least I thought I did. "Ava, can we talk for a minute?" I asked one evening when my parents weren't around. She looked up from her phone, smiling politely. "Of course. What's on your mind?" I took a deep breath. I just wanted to know if you're serious about this marriage?" She tilted her head, her smile unchanging. "Oh, yes, of course. Why would I not be? I don't know, I need to make sure we're on the same page," I said, my words stumbling. "We are," she said softly, leaning closer. "I promise. Don't worry so much." Her voice was calm, measured, almost too perfect. I wanted to shake her, to demand honesty, but all I could do was stare at her face, trying to read her eyes. There was nothing there, no guilt, no hesitation. Just the same polite, charming Ava my parents adored. "I saw you the other day," I blurted out. "At that cafe?" She laughed lightly, a sound that should have been comforting but only made my anger rise. "Oh, that was nothing. You're imagining things. It's not what you think." My chest tightened. "It looked like you were holding someone else's hand." Her smile didn't falter. "It was just a friend, nothing more. Honestly, You're worrying over nothing. I wanted to argue to prove her wrong, but I couldn't. Not here. Not without proof. I felt powerless, my frustration mixing with fear. Later, at home, my parents grew impatient. Have you spoken to Ava about your feelings? My mother asked. Yes. We talked, I said, trying to keep my voice calm, and my father pressed. You seem distracted. We need to finalize everything. I think I'm ready, I lied, swallowing hard. My stomach twisted as they smiled, satisfied with my answer. That night, I called Liam. He picked up immediately. Hey, you sound tense, he said. I need advice, I admitted. It's about Ava. There was silence on the other end for a moment. What about her? I think she's hiding something. I saw her with another man, holding hands. I can't tell my parents, but I can't ignore it either. I feel trapped, Liam. You need to be careful, he warned. Don't confront her openly without proof. That could backfire, and your parents will never forgive you if this turns into a scandal. I know, but what am I supposed to do? I asked, frustration rising. I feel like I'm losing control of everything. Listen, Liam said, calm and steady. We handle this like we handle everything else. Quietly. Watch her, gather evidence, then decide. Don't let your emotions take the lead. We'll figure it out together. I nodded even though he couldn't see me. Okay, but it's hard. Every time I talk to her, she's perfect smiling, polite. I don't know if I can trust what I feel. That's why you need evidence, he reminded me. Don't rely on feelings alone. Ava is clever. She knows how to manipulate. Play it smart. We planned our next steps carefully. I would follow her discreetly, watch her interactions, and record anything suspicious. Liam promised to help behind the scenes. Even with a plan, I felt tense, like I was walking on a tightrope. The next day at the family gathering, Ava smiled at me. Good morning, she said softly, brushing her hair behind her ear. Morning, I replied, forcing my own smile. My heart thumped as I tried to act normal. Did you sleep well? Yes, thank you, she said, tilting her head. I love mornings like this. Peaceful, calm, don't you? I nodded, my mind racing. Calm, peaceful. How could she be calm after everything I suspected? My parents chatted nearby, oblivious, while I sat across from her, pretending nothing was wrong. Inside, I was a storm of suspicion, fear, and frustration. But I knew I had to stay composed. One wrong move, and everything could fall apart. As the evening ended, I whispered to myself, I'll find the truth, no matter what. I can't marry her blind. The wedding date was finally set, and I felt a weight pressing down on my chest. Every detail my parents discussed: the flowers, the invitations. The seating arrangements made my stomach twist tighter. Double quotes, son. Have you thought about the menu? My mother asked, excitement lighting her face. Yes, everything looks fine, I said quickly, keeping my voice steady. My hand shook slightly as I scanned the list. I couldn't focus on anything except Ava. Later that evening, I received a text from her. Can we talk? I froze. My heart thumped. Finally, I thought, now I can get some answers. We met in the small park near my apartment, away from my parents. I tried to keep calm. Ava, I need honesty. Please, no excuses this time. She tilted her head, smiling, but there was a nervous flicker in her eyes. I'm being honest. What do you mean? You've been evasive, I said. Your texts, your calls, the times you disappear. What's going on? She sighed, almost theatrically, and looked down at her hands. I didn't want to hurt you. I really like you, I do, but there's someone else. My chest tightened and I struggled to catch my breath. Someone else. How can you say that? We're supposed to get married in 2 weeks. I know, she said softly. And I feel guilty, but I can try. I can try to love you. I want to make this work. For your family, for you, try. I repeated, my voice rising. Marriage isn't about trying, Ava. It's about being honest, being committed. How can you stand there and say you love someone else and still expect me to marry you? I care about you. I do, she whispered, eyes glistening. But I didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't want to hurt anyone. Please understand. I don't know if I can, I said, gripping my phone tightly. I can't pretend everything's fine. I can't marry someone who's in love with someone else. That's not fair to me, to my parents, to anyone. You'll regret this, she said suddenly, her tone sharp, manipulative. Your parents chose me for you. If you ruin this, they'll never forgive you. Don't you care about your family? I care, I said through gritted teeth. But I also care about myself. About being honest? If I marry you now, I'll be living a lie. Can't you see that? She looked at me, eyes pleading yet calculating. I can try. I promise. Don't make a decision yet. Give me a chance. I need time, I said, my mind spinning. The pressure from my parents, the guilt she was trying to push on me, everything collided inside my head. I felt torn loyalty to my family battling betrayal and self-preservation. The next day, my relatives came over to discuss the final wedding plans. Aunt Margaret fussed over the cake, Uncle Sam insisted on seating arrangements, and my cousins offered opinions I didn't want. My parents watched me closely, expecting approval. Yes, the decorations are lovely, I said, forcing a smile. Everything looks perfect. You seem distracted, my mother said, her eyes narrowing slightly. Is there something wrong? Don't worry, you'll feel better once you meet her again. I nodded silently, unable to speak the truth. My heart ached at the thought of confronting her again, knowing she might manipulate me further. But I also knew I couldn't go through with the wedding if I wanted to protect myself. After dinner, I retreated to my room. I sat on the bed, phone in hand, staring at her name in my messages. How did it come to this? I whispered to myself. Do I follow through with everything my parents planned? Or do I risk shaming them and face the consequences of defying tradition? I replayed her words over and over. I can try. I didn't mean for this to happen. They felt like chains, tying me to a future I didn't want. And yet the fear of disappointing my family tugged at me with equal strength. I ran my hands through my hair, trying to think. There was no easy answer. I was standing at a crossroads, the path ahead shrouded in uncertainty. Every choice carried weight: betrayal, disappointment, or heartbreak. I whispered into the empty room. I have to figure out what's right for me. I can't let anyone else decide my life. The wedding was coming closer, but I felt more lost than ever, trapped between duty and truth, unsure which way to turn. I couldn't ignore it any longer. I had to know the truth, no matter the risk. My parents were planning the wedding, oblivious. Ava's lies were suffocating me. I can't do this blindly. I whispered to myself, pacing the living room. I decided to follow her. Liam helped me plan. Stay calm, stay discreet, he said over the phone. We just need proof, nothing else. I know, I muttered, heart hammering. The next afternoon, I parked a few blocks from the cafe she always visited. I kept my distance, watching as she arrived. My chest twisted when she greeted a man tall, confident, his smile warm and familiar to her. Jake, she said, slipping her hand into his. There it was again. Her hand in his. My stomach dropped. Rage mixed with heartbreak. I had my proof. I whispered to myself. So that's him. That's who you care about. They laughed together, oblivious to anyone else. I watched for a few more minutes, heart aching until I couldn't bear it anymore. I left, my mind spinning. That night I confronted her. Ava, I know everything, I said, standing in front of her in my apartment. I saw you with Jake. Holding his hand, laughing. How could you? She looked startled, then quickly composed herself, her eyes wide but calculating. I didn't expect you to know. It's not what it looks like, she said, her voice calm. It is exactly what it looks like. I shouted, You've been lying to me, to my family, to everyone. How can you expect me to marry you? Her eyes softened, trying to guilt me. I care about you, I really do. I can try. I can make this work for your family. Please, don't throw it all away. Try. I repeated, my voice trembling. Marriage isn't about trying. It's about honesty, commitment. You've made it clear who you truly love. It's Jake, not me. I won't be your second choice. She took a step closer. You're being unreasonable. Don't you see how much your parents wanted this? How could you betray them by refusing? I'm not betraying anyone, I said, anger and frustration roaring inside me. I'm saving myself from a life of lies. I won't marry you while you love someone else. I won't live like that. She blinked, stunned, then whispered, You'll regret this. Your parents will hate you. I don't care, I said, shaking my head. I care about myself for the first time. I care about living a life I can be proud of. I can't let your lies destroy me. The next day, my parents confronted me in the living room. Aunt Margaret was there, fussing with napkins, and Uncle Sam had that disappointed look he always wore when someone upset the family. What is this I hear about you refusing the wedding? My father barked. I can't marry Ava, I said, keeping my voice steady despite the tension. I know about her, about Jake. She loves someone else. I can't live a lie. My mother gasped. How dare you? After everything we've planned? She lied. I shouted, my hands shaking. She manipulates everyone, pretends to care, but she doesn't. I won't be part of this deception? Aunt Margaret huffed. This is disrespectful. You're shaming the family. I'm saving myself, I yelled. I've tried to trust her. I've tried to follow your wishes. But I can't. I won't. I won't sacrifice my life for appearances. My father's face turned red. You ungrateful boy. After everything we've done for you. I know, I said, voice trembling but firm, and I'm grateful. But I won't let anyone decide my heart for me. Not Ava, not you, not anyone. I have to stand for myself. The room went silent. Ava, who had been hiding in the corner, finally spoke, her voice trembling. You don't understand. I can try to love him. Please don't make this worse. No, I said, shaking my head. It's too late. You made your choice. I won't be your option. I won't be part of a lie that destroys me. I won't marry you. The weight lifted slightly from my chest, but the tension in the room was unbearable. My parents stared at me, furious yet shocked. Ava's mouth opened, closed, then she turned away. Tears in her eyes. For the first time, I felt a strange mix of rage, heartbreak, and relief. I had the truth, and I had my dignity. I had stood my ground, spoken my mind, and refused to be a pawn in someone else's game. I whispered to myself, I can't control how they react. I can only control me, and I choose myself. The tension in the house was unbearable the morning of the engagement party my parents had planned. They didn't know I had refused the marriage, and Ava was blissfully unaware that the truth was about to catch up with her. I could feel my pulse in my throat as I prepared to face the gathering. She'll be arriving soon, my mother said nervously, fussing with the decorations. I know, I replied, keeping my voice calm. Inside, I was a storm of anticipation and dread. Liam had helped me prepare. He'd sent proof of Ava and Jake's relationship to a close relative who would confront the truth publicly. When Ava arrived, she was radiant, flawless as always. My parents beamed with pride, oblivious to the storm waiting to break. She walked up to me with that practiced smile. I hope you're ready for today, she said softly. I'm ready, I said, keeping my tone neutral. My heart pounded. The party began, relatives chatting, laughter filling the room. Then my cousin Mark, someone Ava had underestimated, stepped forward. I think everyone should know something important, he said, holding up a small folder. Ava's smile faltered. Mark, what are you? He ignored her, opening the folder. Photos, messages, evidence that Ava has been seeing someone else while pretending to prepare for this engagement. Gasps echoed across the room. I watched her face drain of color. That's a misunderstanding, she stammered. It's very clear, Mark said, showing a series of images and texts. Here she is with Jake, holding hands. Here's proof of calls and meetings. The truth is obvious. My parents' eyes widened. My father's face darkened. Ava, is this true? She tried to speak, but words failed her. Tears welled up, and she turned away, muttering something inaudible. The room was silent except for her quiet sobs. I felt a strange mixture of triumph and sorrow. My chest ached for the girl I had believed could be honest. But relief flooded me. The truth was out. You've deceived everyone, I said quietly, stepping forward. Not just me, not just my parents. Everyone here trusted you. Ava's voice cracked. I never meant for it to go this far. I didn't want to hurt anyone. Tensions don't erase actions, I said firmly. You made your choices. You lived your lie, and now you face the consequences. She covered her face with her hands, shivering. I'm sorry, she whispered, barely audible. Some relatives murmured among themselves, shaking their heads. Aunt Margaret looked stunned. My mother's face was pale, conflicted, while my father's jaw tightened. Son, my father began, his voice low, conflicted. We didn't see this coming. I understand, I said calmly. But you also need to understand me. I refused to marry someone who didn't love me, someone who would have made me complicit in her lies. I had to stand for myself. My mother looked at me, tears threatening to fall. We wanted what we thought was best for you. We didn't realize. I know, I said softly, and I'm grateful for everything you've done. But I needed to make my own choice. I can't live by rules that don't respect my heart. Liam appeared at my side, nodding slightly. His presence was grounding, a reminder that I wasn't alone. Ava's sobs continued, quieter now. I never thought I'd be exposed like this, she whispered. You should have been honest from the start, I said. This could have been avoided. But deception always comes to light. She looked at me, tears streaming down her face, and for the first time, I saw the weight of regret. Her charming, manipulative exterior was gone. She was just a person facing the consequences of her choices. I'm ruined, she whispered. Maybe, I said gently. But you're also human. Learn from this. Don't hurt anyone else. The room began to settle. My parents slowly approached me, their expressions softening. We see your point, my father said. Perhaps we pushed too hard. I know your intentions were good, I said, but I had to protect myself and my future. I needed to act with courage, even if it meant defying tradition. You've grown, my mother said quietly, placing a hand on my shoulder. From a boy who obeyed without question, to a man who stands for himself, we see that now. I felt a weight lift from me, the tension I had carried for weeks easing. The road ahead wouldn't be easy as some relatives would gossip. My parents would need time to fully accept my choices, but for the first time, I felt in control. I looked around at the room, at Ava's humbled, regretful figure, at my conflicted but slowly understanding parents. I whispered to myself, I don't need to follow anyone else's rules to find my happiness. I've found the strength to write my own path. The sun streamed through the windows, warm on my face. I finally felt it, the clarity of truth, the courage to act, and the beginning of freedom. I had survived betrayal, stood my ground, and reclaimed my life. I was no longer the obedient, naive son who followed every command. I was me, fully aware, fully in control, and ready to embrace my own future. The days after the engagement fallout were strange. Silence hung heavy in the house, broken only by my parents' occasional whispers. I could feel the tension in every glance, every step, but I didn't care. For the first time, I felt free. Are you eating properly? My mother asked one evening as I sat at the dining table, staring at my food. I am, I replied calmly. I'm fine. She hesitated, then sighed. We just want what's best for you. It's hard to see you go through all this. I know, I said quietly, pushing my plate away, and I appreciate it. But I needed to make my own choice. I can't live a life dictated by others. Not anymore. My father nodded, his face softer than I had seen in weeks. You've grown, in ways we didn't expect. We understand that now. I allowed myself a small smile. Thank you. That means a lot. Even with my family slowly understanding, I felt a lingering emptiness. Ava's betrayal had cut deep, and the wound needed time to heal. But I couldn't dwell in the past. I needed to move forward, to reclaim my life fully. That afternoon, I decided to go for a walk in the park, the same place where I had confronted Ava. The air was crisp, and the sunlight felt cleansing. I walked slowly, trying to clear my mind. When I noticed someone sitting on a bench reading a book, she looked up and our eyes met. Her smile was warm, genuine, completely unpretentious. "Hi," she said softly. "Hi," I replied, a little taken aback by the ease in her presence. "I'm sorry. Were you waiting for someone?" "No," she said, shaking her head. "Just enjoying the afternoon." I'm Mia. "Alex," I said, feeling strangely nervous, as if meeting someone like this after all I'd been through was unfamiliar. "You seem thoughtful," she said, tilting her head. "Is something on your mind?" I hesitated. Could I tell her the truth? Not everything, not all at once, but I wanted honesty to be part of my new life. "I've had a complicated few weeks," I admitted. "Family, relationships. I guess I'm trying to figure out how to trust again." She nodded knowingly. "I understand. Trust is hard, but it's worth giving when you're ready. You can't let the past dictate your future forever." Her words struck me. Simple, sincere, nothing manipulative. I felt a weight lift, as if someone had handed me permission to hope again. We talked for hours that afternoon. She shared small stories about her life, her passions and dreams. I listened, realizing how refreshing it was to connect without pretense, without obligation, she said, laughing softly at something I said. "I think happiness is underrated. People chase what they think they should want instead of what feels right." I smiled, thinking about Ava, about my parents' initial expectations, and how tangled I had been in other people's rules. "Yeah," I said, "I've learned that the hard way. It's freeing, finally realizing I can choose for myself." Mia reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "And you deserve that freedom. You've earned it, Alex." Her words warmed me, and I realized I wasn't just thinking about moving on. I was already doing it, choosing my happiness, my path. No lies, no manipulation, no pressure. Just life, real and unfiltered. Later that week, I ran into Ava. She was walking down the street with Jake, her expression a mixture of shame and resignation. I looked at her, and for a moment I felt nothing but clarity. She caught my eye and hesitated. "Alex," she said softly, I didn't mean to hurt anyone." "You made your choice," I interrupted gently, but firmly. "I made mine too. That's all there is to say." Her eyes filled with tears, but I turned away, walking with my head held high. The past was behind me. The betrayal was real, but so was my strength. At home, my parents were quietly supportive now. "You've handled this well," my father said one evening, sitting across from me. "We see how much you've grown. Strong, confident. Not the boy we thought we knew." "Had to grow," I admitted. "I had to learn that my happiness matters. I can't rely on anyone else's idea of what's best." My mother smiled, a mixture of pride and lingering concern. "It's a lesson we needed to understand too. Perhaps we pushed too hard, assumed too much." "Maybe," I said softly, "but we're learning together." Over the next weeks, I spent more time with Mia. We laughed, shared small adventures, and slowly I felt my heart opening again. She wasn't part of an arrangement. She wasn't a solution to family expectations. She was a choice. A real, living choice. "You're different," she said one afternoon as we sat by the lake, sunlight reflecting off the water. "You've been through something, and you're stronger for it. I can see it in how you carry yourself." "I hope so," I said, smiling. "I've learned that trusting myself matters more than anything else. Protecting my heart, my choices. It's the only way to be happy." Mia reached out, taking my hand gently. "Then let's make sure happiness stays in the picture. Together, if you want." I squeezed her hand, feeling warmth spread through me. "I want that," I said, truly meaning it. That night, As I reflected on everything: Ava's lies, the confrontation, my parents' reactions, the reclaiming of my own life, I realized how far I had come. Betrayal had hurt me, yes, but it had also forged a new strength within me. I wasn't just surviving. I was choosing. I whispered to myself, I'll never forget the lessons. Trust carefully. Protect your heart. Choose your own path. Happiness isn't given. It's earned, nurtured, and claimed. And as I fell asleep that night, hand in hand with Mia, I felt a calm certainty. Life wasn't perfect, and the past wasn't erased, but I was finally free. Free to live, free to love, free to be me. Ava's choices had marked her with the consequences she deserved. Mine had marked me with the clarity and strength to move forward. The weight of obedience, expectation, and betrayal was gone. In its place was hope, empowerment, and a life I could finally call my own.